Welcome to our second career chat this week. Yesterday we had a business career chat. Tonight we are focusing on careers in technology. My name is Barbara Vidos and I'm the industry partner for technology streams in the Co-op Program. So tonight we will talk about various careers and share strategies to help you begin thinking about and planning your own career path. We have wonderful speakers with us tonight who will share their insights about different career pathways, opportunities. You will also hear about technology degrees available at UNSW. So I'm joined tonight by Dr. Christine Van Toorn, our Co-op coordinator for Business Information Systems and Commerce Information Systems streams. We have Adam Thomas, who is the Chief Technology Officer at OFX, who are sponsoring software engineering stream, but Adam is also the Co-op alumnus, so he will talk about his journey and also his journey as a Co-op. And we do have two current scholars with us tonight. Mridul Pan, who is a 2021 Co-op Business Information Systems, currently in the penultimate year and on placement at UI, that he's going to talk about. And we have Yasmin Oren, who is in her final year of software engineering and finishing up doing her thesis and will be graduating at the end of this year. So if you have any questions throughout the session, please pop it in a Q&A chat. We will answer all the questions at the end. And session, we are recording the session tonight. So a link for the session will be sent to everyone who has registered, as well as all the careers advisors. If you don't get to answer all the questions tonight, we will email the answers to the questions, so don't worry, they will all be answered. So you are now at the end of your high school and at a point in life where it's good to start thinking about what you want to do as a career. But I'm sure there's so many different choices and pathways, and you'll probably at times find yourself a bit overwhelmed by all the choices, and you probably feel it's a bit difficult to navigate all that. So what we'd like to stress tonight is really there is no right and wrong when it comes to choosing or when it comes to careers. Developing a career path is an ongoing process, and you don't need to make that life-changing ultimate decision right now. And don't be constrained by traditional views. Careers are changing so fast that by the time you graduate, you'll probably find yourself in a career that you are not even dreaming of at the moment. So it is really important to keep an open and adaptable mindset, and don't get paralyzed by too many choices. There are multiple ways to get to the same destination, as you are going to hear tonight from our speakers. So as I said, really there is no need to make that the important decision right now, but there are some things that you need to consider and see where you want to launch your career from. It's take time to understand your strengths and your weaknesses, interests, values, and passions. Consider what activities make you happy and fulfilled. And self-awareness is really important because it is a foundation for making a career choice that aligns with your personality and your preferences. So when it comes to skills, identify your natural talents and skills that you've acquired over time, and think how you can leverage those in a career that excites you, and what are the skills that you will enjoy developing further. Values, what is important to you? Do you value being paid well? Is that going to be a deciding factor? Or you like to utilize your creative side? Do you like to be physically active, or seeking constant challenges? Do you like working 9 to 5? Are you more like of a team player or prefer to work independently? So these are all the things that you should consider. Interest. Pursue a career that genuinely interests you and aligns with your passions. it is then more likely to bring satisfaction and motivation, leading to a long-term success and happiness. But how do you discover what really captivates you? And sometimes passion can be tricky. Like, if you don't have a burning passion, don't feel bad, because if you do, fantastic. If you don't, it's okay. Follow your interest. Pay attention to what you spend your time, your energy, and your focus on, and just ask yourself, like, what do you find yourself Googling when you have 10-15 minutes on your computer? So where is that interest? Where does your mind wander when you're waiting in a queue, for example? And then look for those opportunities. They're everywhere. Look, what influences, think of what influences can you draw upon, whose insights can you tap into for more details. So once you ask yourself all these questions, you'll have a lot of information to work with, and then you'll be able to identify and narrow down a few areas of interest or careers that you might want to pursue. And then where to go next? Then continue asking questions. Start looking externally to gather both information and experiences. So identify people who are in careers that you'd like to be in, whether it's a family member, someone someone you can get introduced to, but if not, there's so many opportunities. Just go online, listen to people, like to podcasts, to interviews. You will definitely get inspired and learn a lot of valuable lessons from those people. And just make sure that you get some life experiences as well. Get involved, explore ways to expand your skill set and your network. So join a sports team, volunteer, get a casual job. While your academic achievements are definitely very important, but then that sole focus, that's focus on them, won't do you any favors in the long run. So well-rounded students who can balance commitments, who have a wide variety of skills, who have varied interests, they tend to do better in the long run. And I'm sure Adam will talk about that as well. Okay, so be proactive, and yeah, I'm just going to hand over to Christine just to tell you a bit about, or to tell you about the opportunities. Of course, we would want you to come to UNSW to study technology here, and Christine will tell you about technology degrees that we offer.
Thank you, Barbara. So hi, everyone. I'm Christine Van Torn, and I've been looking after the Information Systems Co-op scholars and the scholars in the technology stream for a very long time. My background is industry. I was working at Deloitte as a consultant prior to joining UNSW. And I can really tell you that the co-op program is an amazing way to gain valuable industry experience and help you understand what actually happens in industry. So here at university, our role is to sort of talk about the theoretical aspects and try and make sure that we do create industry-ready graduates. But thankfully, we have amazing co-op sponsors to help us with that endeavour. Can I have the next slide, Barbara? I don't know whether I can do it. Can I do it? Okay. So the areas of studies we're talking about when we're talking about technology, we have business information systems, and that's when Mridul comes in. He's one of my scholars. He's on his third industry placement, and he will talk about the amazing experiences he's had over the past 18 months or so. Then there is commerce information systems. So that is a Bachelor of Commerce degree with an information systems major. Computer science and software engineering. And Jasmine, you're an SE software eng student, so you'll talk a little bit more about that. So all of these degrees are 4-year degrees. Some of these degrees have honours year embedded within them. So the BIS has an honours component. You can elect to do an honours in the CIS. and in computer science and also in software engineering, you will do an honours component in that course. What are these courses about? Well, the first two, business information systems and commerce information systems, they talk about how do organizations use digital or technology to actually make their businesses run better. So we, from a BIS and a CIS perspective, look at it from a management perspective. We look at it from an organizational perspective. We look at it from improving the overall digital experience, whether it's for us as customers or whether it's for myself if I'm a user at a particular organization. We look at it from a user experience or UX, UI, so user experience and user interface. That means how users interact with the computer system, whereas the computer science degrees and the software engineering degrees concentrate on the more technical aspects of the digital platform. So Jasmine will talk a little bit more about that, having had firsthand experience. But if you think about the business information systems and the commerce information systems, thinking about how can I make this information system as to emulate or to replicate the way that the user thinks as much as possible, so that I can make it easily accessible and easy to use. Whereas the computer science and the software engineering aspect is, how can I make this information systems or this piece of technology to operate in the most efficient way, the fastest, the best, the most robust way? So, sorry, Barbara, can I just go back to the slide before? Yeah. So when we're trying to think about information systems, we're looking at business and societal challenges. So Barbara was talking about passion. So one of the things that you might be looking at is sustainability. So information systems can also help organizations to manage their footprint, to manage their sustainability objectives. And that's something that's a passion of mine and a research of mine as well. There's so much data out there. You may have heard, we are drowning in data and starving for information. Basically, it means there's so much out there, I really don't know how to make sense of that information. That's where information systems come in, to help us look at that, to help us analyze, to help us use that data in an analytical way so that we can make better decisions. Cybersecurity is also an amazing stream within information systems and in fact the whole technology sphere. And then also for all of you, as Barbara said, you start university thinking you're going to go to a particular area. You may finish university and there'll be brand new jobs that didn't even exist when you started your university degree. So we're trying to get you to have those professional skills for a world of data, information, and ultimately innovation. So these are some of the areas you might want to go into, and these are some of the sponsors that we have in my program. So we have consulting, FMCGs or consumer food brands, financial services, some of the largest, top tier banks. We have government organisations. Gives you a bit of a different flavour on how organisations use information systems. Pharmaceutical companies, retail companies, media companies, which again use information systems in a very different way. Insurance companies, a lot of the insurance is now going online. For a lot of you, everything you do is online. Dare I say, you've probably never stepped foot in a bank or a post office or anything like that. So computer science versus software engineering. So these courses are highly technical, and what they're trying to do is trying to get you to think like a software engineer, get you to think of how you would create a piece of software, which is something that we all use on our computers, to be able to be the best in class. So you will learn about the latest technologies, you will be implementing and using those latest technologies, The organizations that you go to will also encourage you to learn new skills and pick up new technological innovation skills and skill sets. If you think about AI, and I'm sure you've all used ChatGPT, and it's here to stay and it's not going anywhere. And universities are accepting that, schools are accepting that. We're all realizing that that's the next frontier in this area. But for us working in IS and IT and computer science and software engineering, artificial intelligence has been around for a very long time, perhaps not in its current genre or the way that it's accessible to all of us. But before AI, there were expert systems, and then there were decision support systems. And these were all things that we used as professionals in industry. Now it's available to each and every one of us. And when you're studying at UNSW, you will be exposed to all of these different new technologies. So when you're doing software engineering, and Jasmine will speak about this, you really go much deeper into the actual design and the implementation of software systems. So if you like to get your hands dirty and you really want to understand exactly how things work, maybe this is something that will, arouse a passion in you. So the computer science and software engineering companies, we have tech companies, again, financial services, because again, they're at the leading edge. They're dealing with consumers and they want to build robust platforms so that we as users can access them. Insurance companies, a lot of insurance is now online. They're using analytics to think about whether someone is a good insurance risk or whether someone is a high insurance risk. Manufacturing organizations are also looking at robotics. I'm sure you've seen, some of the Amazon warehouses that are don't require any lighting because robots don't really need light to see where they're going. So everything is done, via robotics. Telecommunications companies, 4G, 5G, what's next on the horizon? Media companies that are really requiring a lot of the sophisticated graphics, and that takes a lot of grunt. So you really, power. So you need to be able to, design the underlying software to be as robust as possible. Logistics, which is supply chain management, moving things from A to B. Again, in the logistics space, the faster I can move it, the more efficiently I can move it, the less petrol I will use, the less emissions I will have in the environment. So the more sustainable my logistics process might be from end to end. One thing I want to say is that I've been around here for so long that the software engineering program was actually started by a company called Atlassian, who were really looking for talent in this space. So Atlassian founders, Scott Farquhar and Mike Cannon-Brooks, were my students a long time ago here at UNSW. They were actually BIS Co-op scholars, and they started the Software Engineering Co-op Scholarship Program because they saw a real need for software engineering co-ops. And many of our sponsors in this space, we also have a company called Ship It, Rob Hangozada and William On, again, my students quite a while ago. So it's a great program.
Thank you, Christine. We also have Adam, who is our co-op scholar with OFX. What did you study, Adam?
Yeah, it was business information technology, which I'm assuming is now the BIS one.
Okay, so that was before Christine. Then, yeah.
I don't know if Christine remembers, but she was one of my lecturers. So I do remember you, Christine.
Oh my God, Adam, I'm going to do a bit of stalking here online. So were you in the first or second or third intake?
I wouldn't know. Maybe there was one or two above me. So I started in 93 and then graduated in 97. So actually, I think it was 4.5.
So who else was in your year, Adam?
Kate Sutton, Deborah Walker, Blair Del Zoppo.
Adam. Oh, Blair's now at EY.
Yes.
Yeah. Good. Wow. It's a good segue to the next.
So see people go on and do amazing things.
Yeah.
Great. So Adam, why don't you tell us about your journey?
Sure thing. All right, and I could go all night, so please do wrap me up, and I'll try and I've tailored it based on what you've just said. I've tailored a few things. So, hi everyone, nice to meet you. As I said, I'm the CTO at OFX. I started at UNSW. Seems like 25 years ago, I can't see you guys, so I'm just assuming that you're all thinking about getting into the degree. But I agree with everything Christine said. It's a degree not only where you get an academic education, but you come out of the end with a real life experience, having worked for, I'm assuming it's still 3 6-month periods in industry. And that really makes a difference for employers, right? So to give you a real practical example, obviously 25 years ago, salaries were a lot different. But my peers were coming out of uni and getting $30,000 a year for their first job, and all the co-op students were getting $40,000. So straight off the bat, we're getting 25% more than some of our peers. I don't know what that would look like these days, but I will tell you a little bit about what software engineers earn these days, if you're interested.
Adam, can I tell you that the scholarship now is $21,000 a year, just to put it in perspective?
Yeah, I'm sure it's But it also meant, without taking over too much of the co-op scholarship, but it meant that you could focus on your studies. You had some money coming in. It did feel like at times it was extremely busy. You're doing nighttime classes and going to work by daytime and all that, but you never ever regretted any moment of it. So I couldn't recommend another type of degree to anyone. In terms of myself, I started I came straight out of uni, and I worked for PwC, which was one of the big sponsors at the time. Back then, everybody wanted to work for the consulting firms. And so maybe my first bit of advice as soon as you're leaving uni is, try to choose what type of organization to work for. So you've got choices like big companies, like the consulting firms. I guess Atlassian is a bit like that as well these days. There's obviously deeper career frameworks, more in-house training programs, maybe the opportunity to travel globally. I went to New Zealand, but and worked over there for 2 years through PwC, and I stayed there for 12 years end to end. PwC eventually got bought by IBM, so it was a change of company, but not a change of my peers and so forth. But the advantage of consulting is you work in many different industries, and I think the advantage that, to where I've got today is that meant I've actually worked in probably 20 different companies, but I've only changed jobs 3 times. So there's definitely that opportunity to see many different companies, many software architectures, many different industries. I worked in retail, defense, gaming, media, telcos, etc. So you really need to build up that breadth of different experience, depending on the type of role you want. Just jumping back to if you're interested in technology as a career, what I love about it is that every single day is different, right? I don't regret going to work every day because I know I'm facing a different problem. Sometimes it feels like there's a little bit of repetition, but over the course of my career, it's constantly different problems that we're solving. And obviously at the same time, technology is continuously moving. So it's kind of I think it's quite funny how in tech, you don't need to have it's not like an engineer where you need a qualification or the building will fall down. We kind of, you do uni qualifications, and then you can go out and earn a stack of money, and then you can go and rebuild it again, right? You get over the course of your career, you'll probably, rebuild similar projects, but with newer technology and so forth. To give you an idea of starting salaries and all that kind of thing, at OFX, we have about 100 engineers and about 150 people all up in technology. So I can tell anyone, if you want to ask me at the end about any sorts of jobs in tech, but just as a gauge, we hire juniors straight out of uni for about 80,000 a year, but they very quickly move up to 100,000. Mid engineers will be at 140,000. This is all base salary, so then you have super on top. And then our top engineers are earning about 200,000. So it's a very deep and high career path for compared to many other jobs. I think the other thing I'd consider when you're leaving uni and going into a job is, do you want to work for a social purpose? A lot of people these days really want to understand that they're doing something for the betterment of society. I won't make any judgments and talk about any of my past companies in case they're a sponsor, but that's definitely something that's on top of people's minds. I think as a young people, you have a great opportunity to ride the wave, right? I managed to just keep my career up to date by catching the wave of the cloud. But some people that weren't as proactive as me sort of fell behind. So with technology, there are these waves of tech, right? The new big wave is all generative AI, right? As you're saying, ChatGPT. So that to me would be the thing to get into these days, and also cybersecurity. You know, we are madly hiring. It's so hard to hire cybersecurity people at the moment, and that problem's not going to go away. So definitely a great career path if you're interested in that. At some point, you might be considering contracting, right? I'll just give you a bit of the dynamics about contracting. Contracting is amazing when the market is hot, right? And what that means is that there's growth in the industry, the economy is going well, businesses are investing in big projects and so forth. And therefore, they hire contractors because they don't want to have full-time employees on their books forever. It might be for a 2-year project, and then they want to be able to let the contractors go as quickly as they hired them and not have to pay them out redundancies or anything like that. And so you typically have a fixed employee base of full-time employees, and then you hire for the peaks and the troughs for the, you know, when you have big program investment, you might hire contractors. And so I did contracting for about 4 years in that career. You earn about 30 or 40% more than your peers on full-time salary, but you have to pay your own super, you have to save up for your sick leave, you've got to make allowances for annual leave. So if you want to work hard and earn lots of money, you will definitely get ahead and you'll be able to save for a house or something like that. But the second that things aren't going well, you know, we'll cut our contractors first. And so you just got to be prepared for that risk. So you always want to have probably about 2 or 3 months of salary saved in the bank for, you know, being prepared to find that next contract. And that's when you get the, you know, use recruiters and so forth to help you find that contract. So definitely a good career move, but I wouldn't go contracting in the market right now with the interest rates are low, interest rates are high, and investment is really cut back this year. So a lot of people that I've got contractors that are now asking me if they can convert to go full time. So contracting probably is a safe option, and probably another year or two. In terms of how to end up, if you know, as a CTO or some other C-suite, you know, a lot of people, I will say up front to what Christine was saying and Barbara, whatever you think you're going to do, I can guarantee it will be different in 25 years' time, right? Or 15 years' time. You will open yourself up to so many opportunities. And I would say my best career advice is to always open the door, right? You know, if there's an opportunity in front of you, you know, it could even just be someone who inviting you out for a drink, or even attending a call like tonight, right? If you don't take those opportunities, you'll miss you know, you won't learn as much, or you won't get to meet someone or whatever. I didn't actually go out. I never applied for the job of CTO. I came here as the head of engineering, and then my CTO left, and then I was the obvious choice to step up to CTO. So it was the easiest sort of career move into a CTO that you could possibly have. But that was because of the opportunity I took. I was working at a much larger company, News Corporation. I was kind of reaching the ceiling of where I could go there. So I took a step downwards. I took a salary cut. I was quite happy to do that at the time. It was, you know, I was earning a great salary anyway, but I knew that I had to move into a smaller company to be able to take up a bigger role. And now I'm in that bigger role. So always keep in contact with your past colleagues. They're actually your network that will help you get that next opportunity. The number of people that I've hired into this job that I've worked with before is probably about 10 or 20% of my staff I've somehow worked with or crossed paths with before. And so that's another one, as well as when you do leave, never ever leave on bad terms, right? You want to keep those. Sydney is a very, very small market, and you will come across those people again. So, you know, the best people make themselves redundant. That either promote, you know, helps them out to get the next promotion, effectively opening the opportunity for the next promotion, or you leave on great terms. You didn't leave the company in a hole when you left, and then people will always want to work with you again and bring you back in. Particularly, you know, a lot of the people that I was at uni with or started in my career at PwC, and now are in much more senior roles, and we kind of help each other out and share, advice on referrals and all that kind of thing. In terms of right now where you are, I'm jumping around a lot. I'm just looking at my notes and moving around. In terms of where you are right now, be keen and eager. Like if you want to get into a co-op degree, but do something on the side that's going to help with that degree or help with your career, number one is I would learn the cloud, right? If you're interested in technology, go and do AWS cloud certifications. It's the first skill that we hire for. It's kind of like a given that if we will train you, we will probably hire you if you didn't have the right language, but cloud skills is a baseline skill for everyone these days. So do the basic courses if you get the opportunity, and it will always put you that little bit ahead. When you, unfortunately, you know, when we hire, sometimes we get 40 resumes, and then our P&C team will cut that down to maybe 5 people that will actually interview. So unless you're standing out in your resume with some skill or something unique, like, you know, you've done a co-op degree and therefore you've previously had experience, that you really want to get from that list of 40 down to that list of 5, and then you get the opportunity to present yourself and show what you're worth and all that kind of thing. And the fact that, you know, if you're interested in this course, you're probably fairly successful at school and so forth, and trying different things. You want to have, as Barbara said, a very broad, well-rounded set of interests, right? Continue doing your team sports, continue doing any volunteer stuff, or anything outside of just your pure skill, your academic stuff will stand you apart from other people. And then I would say, what else have I not talked about here? I think I'll save the rest for questions at the end. So, but that's, you know, like I said, I loved the degree when I was there. It helped me definitely get my first job. Once you get your first job, the first job helps you get the second job and so forth. But the co-op courses are definitely well regarded, and will help you in opening many doors for you. I'll leave it there for now and then answer questions.
Yeah. Thank you, Adam. That's a fantastic, some really great lessons there. I will ask now Mridul to say a few words about, just tell us about your career journey so far.
Yeah, sure. Hey guys, I'm Mridul, and I am a business information systems scholar. You can probably see I made a slide. This is very rushed. I made it pretty last minute because I'm working right now, but yeah, a little bit about me, I guess. So I'm in my penultimate year right now, and I've done 2 placements so far. I'm in my 3rd one. So I started off at American Express, where I was a service delivery analyst intern. And then Westpac, I was a cybersecurity intern, which, as Adam and Christine, Barbara have kind of alluded to, cybersecurity is a very rapidly moving and in-demand field. So that was probably one of my funnest experiences, but also most challenging at the same time. My team was really great there. But again, it kind of depends on what you want to do later on, what you're interested in. So if you're not someone that's interested in coding, for example, you probably wouldn't want to become a red teamer or an ethical hacker, that more hacking type cybersecurity that you guys might see in the movies. But that's not to say that there are other cyber roles out there as well. There's always roles around risk, around governance as well, which is an increasingly important field. So yeah, it really kind of depends what you want. And once you narrow down what you want, you can always kind of find the role that you're looking for in whatever field you go into. So yeah, right now I'm in EY, and I think I can probably speak to that the best because it's very fresh in my mind. I'm currently on an engagement, which is really, really cool as an intern, especially because the engagement we're on, like, this is kind of basically my first real industry exposure to consulting. And I can kind of see, you know, the holistic overview of how everything is formed in the organization that we're working with. With other sponsors, for example, American Express and Westpac, you get a really good view of the internalized and how the internal dynamics of a team and how it works. But you're kind of restricted a little bit to your own team. Whereas when you go into consulting, you get an overview of the whole organization. And that's where you gain a lot of value and a lot of understanding. So for someone like me, who's literally, you know, in their 3rd year of uni, very close to you guys, like I sat my HSC during COVID. So I'm really not that far away from you guys in terms of age. But for some like me, it's really interesting to get that experience from people who have been in the industry for like 20, 30 years, and kind of sit there, understand, and, you know, basically soak in the knowledge that they kind of give off to the client. When you're sitting in those calls, you kind of get an understanding of, you know, these are the technology practices that are in place. And then you can kind of apply that to your own career. So if you ever end up wanting to go into consulting or you go into any role, you bring that knowledge with you, and therefore you become an asset to that company. So yeah, that's a little bit about my, I guess, professional experience. I think one thing about the Co-op program that makes it so great is obviously you get the industry experience, and you get experience a bunch of different roles. For example, at American Express, like I was more in the internal facing side. At Westpac, I was in the cyber role. EY, I'm a consultant. That's all very different roles and very different industries. And you also get financial support, which is great. But I think for me, the greatest aspect of Co-op is meeting other people, and kind of building that network, not only a professional network, but a personal network as well. You get to meet a lot of great friends. I know some of my closest friends from uni have been through the Co-op program. So I would really recommend, you know, going to Co-op, whether you want to go into tech or another degree. You can kind of see down the bottom there. So yeah, there's a few different ways you can get involved. Some of these pictures are with my workmates as well. So that's another perk of being in Co-op. You get some free drinks and free food during your internships, which is always great. And as the intern, you're always treated as someone who's part of the team, and they don't expect you to know everything, but they expect you to want to learn. And I think that's the biggest thing that you guys can bring with you to not only your university degree, but any jobs you get into in the future. Now, if there's one thing I would say, and Adam kind of touched upon this as well, it's kind of like getting involved in the extracurriculars. And I've been very fortunate to be involved in a few different societies, which have given me a few different insights into what I might want to do. Because societies are basically like, they're like a microcosm of a much smaller organization. There's not the same pressure that, you know, you're paid if you make a mistake, you'll cost the business thousands of dollars, but it's the sense that it's structured, you've got other students with you, and you're trying to achieve a goal at the end of the day. So some of my societies here, 180 Degrees Consulting, UNSW Technology Advisory Society, and UNSW Co-op Society, they really informed my decision as well on like what I might want to do in the future. I'm currently leaning towards either cybersecurity or consulting, and consulting was kind of, you know, pushed by my experiences in 180 Degrees Consulting at UNSW. That's what got me to, you know, really want to try EY through the Co-op program. So I would definitely recommend, if there's anything that you're interested in terms of societies, feel free to join it whenever you join uni. UNSW is the best university for student societies. I will just put that out there, because I know I've got other friends, University of Sydney, Macquarie, and all the rest of them, and their society life is a lot worse. I can definitely say that. It's a lot worse than what we have here at UNSW. So yeah, I know you guys are kind of at a bit of a crossroads right now. You're almost finished your HC. Your final exams coming up soon. So obviously best of luck with that. But I think now is a really great time to also be thinking about, okay, what exactly do I want to do? Like, you can probably narrow it down to a field rather than, or like a very general sector rather than, you know, a specific role. For example, if you're interested in cybersecurity or if you're interested in tech, you would probably want to do some sort of these tech degrees like information systems, comp sci, software engineering. But if you're interested in something else, you know, make sure you take that jump, look into the options out there, not just necessarily in the Co-op program, just whatever you want to do, make sure that you have researched well and you're able to actually, you know, get into something that you want to enjoy, because you might change your mind in the future, but you don't want to get into a degree that, you know, your parents force you to do and then you don't like it. So make sure you do your own research as well, and then take everything else into account. But yeah, I guess I won't talk too long. I'll be happy to answer any questions, especially if you have any questions about, you know, cyber roles or how consulting is like as an intern. I'm very happy to give that perspective, given I've kind of done that role over there. But yeah, I'll pass it back to you, Barbara.
Thank you so much. Yasmin, would you like to tell us a bit about your journey so far?
Sure, awesome, will do. So I don't have as nice slides there, But I guess I'll start by just like introducing who I am. So I'm Yasmin. I'm a software engineering co-op and I started in 2020. A bit of background, I guess, is I grew up in Canberra and then I moved to Sydney for university. I'm in my 4th year, so I've done my 3 placements for co-op and I'm currently undergoing my thesis alongside my university, which is really fun and exciting. I guess I'll take you all the way back and kind of work through my journey of career decisions and how I've ended up where I am now, and I guess what I'm looking into in terms of the future. So if we go all the way back to year 10 me loved performing arts. I was involved in drama and music particularly, and that was my main focus. I, of course, did my sciences and I did my maths, but it wasn't my passion. I did well in it, but again, it wasn't what I was interested in. That was until I took a STEM subject in year 10, and I was really fortunate that my class built a tiny house, which is really random and a very unique opportunity for that class. But I suddenly saw this whole other aspect of life, this whole other area, and it kind of made me really interested in it. I saw a lot of women in the industry, but also not a lot of women in the industry, and I was like, this is really cool, but where are my role models? So I started looking at different opportunities. I went to a careers week at UNSW in year 10. I did some work experience, both in the Canberra Hospital and in the Australian Signal Directorate. I was just trying all these different opportunities to try and figure out what I was interested in. That didn't really help in the sense that I was still really confused and wanted to study everything and not really sure where to go with it. But I kind of knew a bunch of things when I started applying for university. 1 is that I really liked maths. 2 is that I really enjoyed problem solving. And 3 is that I liked working with people. So I kind of was thinking about what degrees would fit into that and what degrees would give me an opportunity to develop those skills, but also be versatile and be applicable to a lot of different areas. And I kind of landed on software engineering in the end. And starting my software engineering degree, I didn't know how to code at all. And it was like so fortunate that the university teaches it so well that within 10 weeks, I could code. And also the really cool thing about it was that I was producing results. I could see what I was doing and it was working. I could see things on my computer screen. And at the end of the day, coding is maths in words, which was how my brain worked and how I could apply it. So then, as you can see, I kind of started off my university degree, did a year of university, and then at the beginning of my 2nd year, I was really fortunate to have my first placement, where I was really fortunate to go to Atlassian. So as Barbara and Christine spoke about, Atlassian is a really large tech company in Australia. They're actually now quite global. But going into Atlassian, I had no idea what was going on in the team that I ended up in. I didn't know the language they were using. I didn't really know the procedures of how the team would function. I was working on a really large database. But being there for 5 months, I got to build these professional skills in the area. I got to learn the language. I got to understand, and so much so that I got to start delivering features. And now these features are applicable on this application worldwide and to everyone. And again, this was a really eye-opening experience. I had to work really hard to build those skills and learn, but I was treated as an equal within that team, which was really amazing. And very, very fortunate, and I guess part of the co-op program and what's unique about it. My next placement was at WiseTech Global, which is a global logistics company. And here I decided that I really wanted to try a different area in tech, and I wanted to look at product management. So something that I'd heard of at Atlassian, and I wanted to give it a go. And I was fortunate that WiseTech had these opportunities. So I started off in one team where I really got the fundamentals of what product management was. I got to understand what were the expectations of being a product manager, who I was supposed to be working with. And the really cool thing about a product manager is that you work with all kinds of people. You work with the developers, you work with stakeholders, you work with various teams and managers, and you are looking at this specific product and you are the expert in it. That was really good baseline. And then in my second team in the same company, I got to pick what team it was. Again, I wanted to look for something that I was interested in. So my way of doing this was reaching out to lots of people, talking to them, learning about their projects, what they were working on, and trying to find the project that I was interested in, who I wanted to learn from, and who I wanted to be my mentor in this second half of my placement. Again, after doing all my research, I landed in a really cool team, in the data science team, where I was working as a product manager for them. I had a great mentor. I got to manage and work on around 18 different projects in data science, which were very cutting edge in terms of their development. And again, I learned so many skills while working in this placement. Moving on to my third placement, I was working at Macquarie Group. By now, I had a bit of an idea of what I was good at, what I knew, what skills I wanted to develop. So I knew that I was really interested in the area of data science. And I guess that's quite a hot topic area, as we've mentioned. And so I requested to be in a data science team. And they put me in a team which was working on a data science tool, but I was working as a software engineer. So I got to both apply my data science skills by testing out this tool, but also implementing it using my software skills. One of the really cool things about working in these large banks is that you firstly, they have a lot of emphasis on up and coming technologies and trying all these new technologies. So the tool I was working on was very fresh and new, and it was in a trial run and in a release stage, which was awesome seeing the release process for it. But also you get to work with people in all sorts of different areas, whether it's the financial areas, whether it's HR, but you also get to work with a lot of consultants because they come in a lot through the banks. So I guess it's working in a very different environment and with different standards. But all in all, I would say that all of these placements, I learned so many skills, both professional, I learned what I was good at, my strengths, and also was really able to build my professional network in terms of people all across the board. Being a co-op really meant that I was given responsibility and ownership and opportunities that I couldn't have in any other way. I was treated as an equal in all of these teams. If anything, I was given so many opportunities for management, which is really unique to be an intern and manage people, and have, lots of responsibility over these projects. Alongside of developing my professional career with co-op, I also really was able to develop my peer-to-peer connections. So there's a couple of ways to do this. One was just my cohort within university, the people that you work in group projects with, the people you meet in lectures, societies, all of that. They come into your life constantly, both in a friend's way, but also in a professional way. A lot of these people are now are going to be working with me next year when I start working full time. And I already know them because I've worked in a group project with them. So developing those connections are really important. One of the unique things about co-op is that you have a co-op cohort. And that's made up of people who are studying lots of various different degrees. So you've got people who are studying business degrees, you've got people who are studying technology, and you've got people studying science degrees. And all of those people are going to go off into their places and do what they want to study, what they want to work in. But you have those connections. You will always know someone who is an accountant. You will know someone who works in finance, and you can ask their advice in terms of professional stuff, obviously both personal and professional relationships that you have through the co-op cohort. Other things, like Mirdul said, I immersed myself in societies. I was a social director for Co-op Society, which meant I got to run lots of events and control the social aspect of the university experience of this co-op cohort, which is something I'm really passionate about. I was Secretary of Women in Engineering, which was really awesome to be able to be in a position where I could empower young women in engineering and create opportunities for them to develop their professional aspects. And I guess, like, coming back to what I'm doing now, out of all of these things, I'm still confused about what I want in terms of my career. I have tried all these different things, but I am much more certain in terms of what my skills are, what I'm good at, what I bring to the table when I try new things. So co-op has given me so much on top of professional development. And specifically for me coming from Canberra, it meant that I didn't have any financial difficulties while being at university. And it meant that I could develop myself professionally, but I also got to take on lots of opportunities all the time, whether it's social opportunities, sporting opportunities, and volunteering opportunities. So continuing those extracurricular things that I'm passionate about. I guess one of the biggest things I live by, and my advice to you, is that even if you don't know 100% of the thing that you're applying to, or you're not even 100% qualified for it, you can learn and develop. The skills you can learn, if you're passionate about learning, you will be able to pick up the skills. Also asking. If you don't know, you ask, and people are more than happy to provide support and help you with that. I've changed my mind about careers so many times. Specifically, placement has given me even more opportunities about different career paths that I could take. So I think there's definitely not one set in stone career path that you go into when you start some sort of degree. There's lots and lots and lots of opportunities. I think the biggest thing is understanding your strengths, your interests, your passions, and you'll find a job and a work environment where you value your time there. And I think the big thing about technology is that it's constantly changing. It's constantly developing, and you have to constantly learn to keep up with it. It's a moving industry, and everything you study in university is only a baseline. You will have to keep learning because things are changing all the time. The other big thing is technology is versatile. It's a versatile skill that you can apply in so many different areas and ways. If you're passionate about biology, you can apply technology in there. If you're passionate about medicine, you can apply technology in there. Everything you want to do, you can apply technology to. So it's such a good skill to have because you can go into literally anything with it, I guess. Yeah, that's my journey so far, and that's the values that I live by.
Thank you, Yasmin. Some really great insights there. Before we start, we have 2 questions. So yeah, please ask questions. We still have a couple of minutes to go. I will just talk about the Co-op Scholarship Program. So everyone says tonight, one great vehicle to a great career is the Co-op Scholarship Program. It is a career development program for high-achieving, well-rounded students who are passionate about pursuing a career in particular industry. So we do offer across a wide range of areas. Of course, you have heard from our students in technology, but we do offer Co-op scholarships across business and engineering as well. So you do get the industry experience. It's up to 18 months of industry experience across the 4 years. So during the duration of your 4-year degree, you will have three different placements up to 18 months. And that is with 3 different companies. So that all happens before you graduate. We also offer a lot of professional development opportunities, and some of them are like a leadership camp and different professional development opportunities that help you prepare for your first placement, but also it doesn't stop there. It is ongoing. Financial support, of course, that's from next year. We are increasing the scholarship amount, and it is covered for 4 years. And of course, networking and mentoring opportunities as well. So please, if you haven't started, start your application. The deadline is the end of September. We look forward to receiving your applications, and follow us on our social media. So there is an Instagram account. You can follow us just to see and hear more about what our Co-op scholars, all the fantastic things that they have been doing. So I will go to questions and see if we can answer a couple before we conclude tonight. Okay, so we have a question. How much freedom do you have during co-op to choose what company you intern at and your role there? Christine, would you like to maybe just give a bit of an overview from you know your from the BIS perspective and CIS?
Yeah. So I look after the BIS and CIS, and they're the largest programs that we have. So what I generally do is students will put in a preference form. So it's up to 6 different preferences. And you'll talk a little bit about why you particularly want that organisation. And then we do a ranking of those preferences across the 15 or 20 students that we have, trying to accommodate as much as possible and fit in with the kind of work or what you're interested in. So in Radul's case, it was, you know, the security aspect. Also try and give you breadth of experience. So even though we may well have 3 different financial institutions, you probably would not be able to go to 3 different financial institutions. So we would give you a consulting company, a financial institution, a security company, a manufacturer, something like that across the placement. Once you get to the company, I think you do have a level of freedom to negotiate the kind of work that you undertake at the organisation. Obviously has to be in the information system space or software engineering space, but you can elect the kind of work that you're interested in. Yasmin gave a really good example when she talked about, you know, the data science aspect. And Radul, during his time at Westpac in the ISG or the Information Security Group, there were certain things that he was really interested in. And so he made that quite clear. And if they can accommodate you, they will. Okay. There's another question, Barbara, that says, can you get co-op if your ranks are in the middle? Not really sure I understand that question, but I'm assuming you're talking about, are you able to obtain a co-op scholarship if you're not, you know, ducks of the school or whatever? The ATAR is 96. So you do have to get the ATAR, but you also have to get an interview. And during that interview, you will be interviewed by an industry professional, say someone like Adam, and also an academic who will talk about the programs. So you will be asked different kinds of questions. And, you know, Adam would probably be more interested in how you work as a team member, what your passion is, what you're interested in. There's a lot of students who say, oh, I've never really done, you know, we didn't have information systems or IPT or SDD at the HSC level. That's okay. That's not an issue. That's not a problem. Okay. So I think maybe that's what you're talking about. If your ranks are in the middle, if you have a passion for this, you apply, just go for it. You know, you never know if you never go. If you don't try, you don't know. And in the information system space, we also have something called BISAS. So that's a, look it up online. It's a program that allows you to interview for the non-scholarship BIS program at UNSW.
Thank you, Christine. Another question very similar, and I think you would have answered part of it. It's what is the acceptance rate for co-op scholarship? Is there more weighting towards extracurriculars than academics? So the acceptance rate, on average, we receive annually around 800 to 1,000 applications. And this is across all streams, not only technologies. We offer between 80 to 85 scholarships every year, again, across all degrees. In technology, we offer about 30, 35, depends on the year. What we look, it is a combination of both, what Christine said. You need at minimum 8 out of 96, but we do look for well-rounded students who are passionate about the industry, and then if you can demonstrate that, if you can articulate that, you know, you will be successful. But then again, it is very competitive. Yeah, we would encourage you to go for it. It is a great experience. And I don't know, maybe Yasmin Riedel would like to. We are running out of time, but just if you want to give kind of a quick You know, like if you look back at your applications and how you decided to go for co-op, what was that factor for you?
I guess I'll go. In terms of like co-op, I guess there's so many aspects to it, right? Like you've got, for me, as I mentioned, the financial support enabled me to move to Sydney. That's a really big aspect for me. Secondly, I think a really big aspect to it is the fact that there is such a focus on, the networking opportunities, and they're unmatched opportunities. There's no other program in Australia that kind of provides these opportunities to intern and get this real life experience while you're studying. You get a foot ahead of everyone in your cohort by doing that, which is insane. And I guess while applying, I really focused on the fact that I was doing a lot of co-curriculars and volunteering and music and leadership. And I knew that they were skills that Co-op was looking for. So applying that into my application.
Yeah, and I just to really quickly add on to that, I think it's also really good to have something that makes you unique, makes you stand out, makes you memorable to the interviewer. Whether that be, you know, an activity that you did. I know someone in our grade or someone in the grade above might have done like dragon boating or something. I'm not exactly sure, but it was a really, really unique sport, and that kind of makes you stand out to the interviewer. And that should complement, you know, any of the other soft skills that you might bring, like team management, people skills, time management. All of those types of things should really shine through in your resume and your application. And then when you get the interview, make sure that those shine through as well in your interview.
Thanks, Rachel. And maybe one last question. So we have a question. So what would you say that software engineering program is less theory and more applicable skills than the computer science program? Also, there is this new program, Bachelor of Advanced Computer Science, offered by UNSW. Would this be added to the co-op program? So there is another question about that. Christine, would you like to answer this one?
Yeah, and Jasmine, correct me if I'm wrong here, but
Yes.
Typically the computer science degree does focus a lot more on theory and the science behind the interaction between the hardware and the software. It does have a lot more maths in it than the software engineering degree has. It also looks at, you know, computational applications and algorithms, machine learning, also looks at information security, and it actually does emphasize computational theory. So in the software engineering degree, you will be more cognizant, or you'll be concentrating on the engineering principles of building, designing, testing software products. You'll be looking at coding languages of, you know, C++, Java, Python, HTML, SQL, etc. And it will be more tailored towards software development. Okay. You asked about the Bachelor Advanced Computer Science. Would it be added to the co-op program? To add a degree to a co-op program is a long process. We have to bring up the degrees. We then also have to find sponsors for that particular degree. So not in the near future is my response to that. Jasmine, do you have anything more to add to that?
Yeah, sure. So I guess the main difference I see between computer science and software engineering is that computer science, you kind of specialize in an area of like software and computing. So usually you can major in like security, and you kind of focus, you've got a lot more freedom to pick electives in the area, so you can kind of focus and be an expert in that area. While software engineering, one of the great things about it is that you do learn this kind of overall and all-rounded theory of software and how it works in lots of different aspects. And I guess the way that that's applied into industry is that as a software engineer, you can look at a product in a more holistic kind of point of view, while a computer science can look at things in a more niche way. That's the way I differentiate the two.
Okay, good. I think we may conclude here. There are a couple more questions, but we'll definitely get back to you. Send the answers along with the link. As I already mentioned earlier, I just want to say a massive thank you to all our speakers. Thank you so much for being with us here tonight and for giving up your night and sharing your insights and stories with our students, and also to everyone who have joined. Thank you so much, and hope you did find this valuable, and good luck with your HSCs and your applications. Of course, if you need to have any questions about Co-op, just send us an email, give us a call, and we'll be on campus on the 2nd of September for the open day, so you'll be able to come and talk to us. Okay, have a great evening, everyone.